Yeah.
Today we are talking about Tim Tebow, and I watch ESPN every day. And,
I do too.
Every day they talk about Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
And if you don't know anything about sports or Tim Tebow, you'd be like, who cares, right? But the reason why Tim Tebow applies to our show as much as he does is because Tim Tebow is a Christian. Now, Tim Tebow is not just a Christian. Tim Tebow is a very loud, I talk about Christ all the time Christian.
Yes.
And there's a show on ESPN called First Take. And one of the hosts on the show, his name is Skip Bayless. And Skip Bayless he believes in Tim Tebow. He's one of those guys, even before he played one game, he was like, Tim Tebow's going to win. He's a good quarterback. I don't understand why everybody is dogging him. Now, Skip is the only one that felt that way.
Yeah.
Every other analyst on ESPN said Tim Tebow is garbage. He's horrible. He can't play. He can't throw, right? What Skip said that stood out to me was he says, I think they're saying that because they don't like the fact that he's a Christian.
Right.
I was like, whoa, is that true?
Wow. He said that on the show?
Yeah, he said that on the show. He said Tim Tebow talks about Jesus every chance he gets, and I think people don't like that about him. One, either they are anti-Christian, or two, they're Christians but they're not living a good lifestyle, so he intimidates them because he's lifestyle. They can't find anything wrong with him. So it's like, he's too good for me. He's too good, you know? And at first I was like, really? And then when I started listening to all the people that were dogging him, I think he has a point. So I really do think people hate on this dude because he's a Christian.
Yeah. Let's go back to Tim Tebow's origin. Heisman Trophy winner from college football, University of Florida. He comes from a family that all of them do missions trips. They go together. They do it separately. I mean, it's a really big part of their life. And they did a documentary on him, and I was just blown away. Because I used to see I first started watching college football, and I would see he had the black tape underneath his eyes.
John 3:16.
With John 3:16. But every week he had a different scripture.
Yeah.
And I would be like, dang. And even though I was against Florida as a football team, I still liked watching Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Now, the problem that Tim Tebow is having right now is that his coaches don't want him there.
His coach doesn't want him there. John Elway is his GM. He doesn't want him there. He really doesn't want him there. Yeah. It's obvious. Every week, right now, just to set the stage, like I said, Skip is the only one that believes in this kid on TV.
Right.
And he finally got a chance to play.
Yeah.
And since he's gotten in, he's won 5 out of the 6 games that he's played.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in 5 out of the 6 games, he's the reason they won. They were down, and he scored 2 or more touchdowns at the end of the game to win the game. Right? So he's winning, right? But every week, John Elway, who is his GM, comes on and says, I just still don't think he's our quarterback. Right. I still don't think he's good. It's like, what is like, why are these people hating on him so much? Even his own team hates on him, and he's winning.
I think
what could it be?
I think you're right. I think it's a cross between him. You know how you have a player that's overhyped?
Yeah.
I think Tim Tebow coming out of college was a little bit overhyped for the NFL.
Yeah.
And the way he was prepared for the NFL was kind of unfair to him. He was thrown out there. He really didn't get a chance to, practice and grow with the team.
Right.
But now that he's out there, he's doing good. They're not really running the best option plays that would actually utilize Tim Tebow. The one thing they always say is that he doesn't have an arm. Well, that's not true.
Yeah, he's proven that he can. They just don't let him throw it.
They don't let him throw it. I mean, so, he'll dump it off to a running back, or he'll do a short screen pass. I mean, just something that is keeps the offensive plays going, but doesn't let him shine.
Yeah.
And I think that they're trying to say that he was overhyped for this team because Jacksonville really wanted him.
Okay.
They wanted him to stay in Florida because of his Florida legacy.
Yeah.
And so Jacksonville really wanted him. So when he went to the Broncos, it was like, well, he's coming in behind a veteran quarterback, so he's going to sit for a while. He's not going to be ready for the NFL. He's going to get dry. He's going to get stale. And now that he has a chance to be the starter, I just think that his coaches.
So this is what's funny about it. So remember the context. His team, his coach, and everybody above him doesn't believe in him.
Yeah.
So it was getting to the point where the starting quarterback was he was horrible, right? The crowd basically told from the stands, Tebow, Tebow,
Yeah.
every game.
Yeah.
They were screaming for this dude. And this is what happened. They never admitted this, but this is what I believe happened. They finally were like, fine, we'll put Tebow in. He's going to do horrible so you can stop bothering us, and then we'll pull him back out.
Yeah.
But when they did it, he started winning games.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, man, dang, this is not good. He's won almost every game that he's played in since they put him in.
Yeah.
And the only reason they wanted to put him in was to embarrass him so people would stop asking for him.
Yeah.
Now they really got a reason to hate on him because you know how everybody has their touchdown dance? They have a Tim Tebow where he gets down on his knee and he prays in the end zone. And everybody's hating on that. Like, it's just, but it's been funny now because, you know, that whole planking thing. You remember we saw that? They're doing the Tim Tebow thing.
But some of them are doing it as a good thing. Some of them are doing it to make fun of him.
Yeah. Like, I saw a random YouTube clip where, you know, they're talking about the sports and they were talking about the news and the weather. And then there's a guy in the background, Tim Tebow. And,
yeah.
You know.
So here's this is what it comes down to. So that's the background. So now Tebow, and I didn't really know too much about Tebow. I tried to watch a game, and I saw he has flaws. He has rookie flaws. But, I mean, he's not that bad as people are saying. So he finally got an interview with this guy, Skip, that kind of put me onto him.
Yeah.
And he did so well as a Christian to me in the interview. I was thoroughly impressed with him. Wow. Skip said there was another quarterback that criticized him named Jake Plummer, right?
Yeah.
And he said, I would be able to handle Tim Tebow if he didn't talk about Jesus so much. Not all of us are Christians. We don't want to hear about Jesus that much. So Skip asked him a question. Did you hear what he said? What do you think about what he said? And he said this, and I thought it was the greatest answer I've heard in his situation. He said, I respect what he said because another comment he made was, I like him as a quarterback, but I just can't handle the Jesus stuff. He was like, well, I appreciate the comment he made saying that I was, he liked me as a quarterback. But this is how I put it. If I was married and I had a wife and I really love my wife, I would be telling my wife I loved her all the time. And if people ask me about my wife in an interview, I'd be like, yo, I love my wife. She's awesome. And I'll say, wife, I love you in my interview. I love Jesus that much and more. I'm going to talk about Jesus every chance I get because I really believe in him and I really love him. I have a relationship with him. It's like a wife, you know what I mean? And Skip was like, wow, okay. Yeah.
I have to go back.
You can't say nothing. Like,
I didn't hear that.
It removes the whole I'm trying to preach to you. This is my relationship. I love him.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're going to ask me about him, I'm going to tell you about him.
Yeah.
It's not like Tim Tebow goes out and tries to tell people about Jesus. They always ask him about Jesus. So he says, yes, I love Jesus. Like, what do you want him to do? Not talk about it? So this is how Chris brought this topic up. And I think this relates to us very well, I think.
Okay.
Because now he's getting Christian hate. Is what I like to call it, right?
Christian hate. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I do because I relate it to the comments that we get on our page from Christians.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Kurt Warner is another quarterback who is a well-known Christian that attributes his success to God. Whenever he won his Super Bowls, he won 2. He always said, Jesus, I thank Jesus for whatever he did in my life, whatever. Kurt Warner just, we saw an article where he said, my advice to Tim Tebow is to tone down the Jesus stuff. Tone down all the talking about Jesus. Right? So, okay, that's fine. Like, and Chris made a good point. It sounds like a very seasoned Christian telling like a newbie Christian that's really excited that you're looking a little too excited. Calm down. You know what I mean? Like, your relationship with God, you can kind of let your life speak for itself type advice, which is not bad advice, but it's not, to me, it's not bad one-on-one advice. Gotcha. To me, it's really bad public advice.
Oh, very, very
you know what I'm saying?
Very bad, yeah.
And to me, it's like, man, that it just shows dissension amongst Christians. Like, I don't think that's what Kurt Warner intended, but I think what Kurt Warner sees is, I'm a Christian. I let my life speak for myself. Everybody knows Kurt Warner's a Christian. And he sees this young Tim Tebow who's really, really excited about Jesus, and he thinks he's making a fool out of himself. He thinks that Tim Tebow is going to talk so much about Jesus that people are going to be turned off. Yeah. So, to me, a call to Tim Tebow, hey, I love you. I'm your brother in Christ. Here's my advice for you. Try this. Is a great conversation. But to just tell some random newspaper writer, that you should be doing that. To me, it shows dissension within.
I see that too, but I also see that Kurt Warner could be a victim of the downplay that God and Jesus have in our vocabulary as Christians. I think that Kurt Warner might be looking at it like, if I was in that position, which I was, maybe I should have been the representative to get that name out more.
But I think Lauren and Marty and I were talking about this recently. I think because of the kind of work we do, we're very sensitive, seeker sensitive to people who may not like Jesus or like to hear about Jesus all the time. So we've gotten very good at trying to tell you about God without being obvious or without being direct or whatever. We've gotten very good at that. But then honestly, like recently I've been looking back and I've been like, I don't want to get too good at that. Like at some point, I love Jesus. Like what? I'm not going to fake it for you. Like, I love Jesus. I want you to love Jesus too. That's my goal. And I could kind of bluff you a little bit, and I could kind of cloak and mirror it a little bit, but that's the truth about my life. That's what I want to do.
And let me tell you about a personal story I had that has me vexed still to this day. When I was working at Radio 1, there was a Jewish lady, and she would get like hopping mad whenever we had our Thanksgiving or our holiday feast, and we would end the prayer in Jesus' name. And it was just so, like, I was baffled by it because I've never seen anybody get upset and actually have to comment about it and talk about going to human resources. And I was like, wow. And so my new job that I'm at, they've asked me to pray before. And when I end the prayer, I end it in Jesus' name. But there's an awkward silence that I feel in my prayer that I'm not going to be able to complete what my real thought is about what I want to say in the end, because somebody in the room may be a Muslim, somebody in the room may be Jewish. And I think that Kurt Warner might be feeling a little bit of that, where I wasn't the best representative I could have been. So now let me tell this guy to tone it down so he doesn't overshadow what I could have done.
So to me, this is where it kind of goes away from Tim Tebow. As a Christian, since we've been Christians for a while, we've been doing this stuff for a while, do you feel like you've kind of gotten a little callous? Lukewarm. Not lukewarm, but you've been so...
Just told on myself.
You've been so tired of people saying, oh, you can't say that, or you can't do that, or it's probably not wise to be so obvious about this, and don't say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. We always use that when we're talking about rappers. Have we gotten so... sensitive to the needs of people who don't love Jesus that we've kind of diluted our own passion?
Yes, we have. I mean, I know I'm speaking a lot on this because I had a lot of work experience, but my manager, my former manager, actually attends Word of Faith with me. And one day he was like, yo, you need to cut out with this whole, letting everybody know about your faith and what you believe thing. And I was like, wow. And then I actually heard a message, and it was saying that you can't allow other believers to go to hell just because you're not comfortable telling them they're in the wrong. And I was sitting with a coworker who was just like, yeah, I mean, I go to church every Sunday and I love Jesus. She was like, but I am not going to stop having sex for anything. I'm just not. That will never be something that I stop doing before I get married. And I was sitting there just pretty much nodding my head like, yeah, I understand. What's up, and I really couldn't say anything because he had vexed my spirit from being able to openly say, okay, but you know what, just being honest with you, being real, like, I love Jesus too, and I know that the thing that he says is, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. And that's where I start with my love for him. And I couldn't say that to her because then I know exactly what it would have looked like. So it's sad. It's sad, but that's where I think that's where we are.
I think it's just another thing that we look at as Christians, and I think the thing is, it's not just like, even with the Kurt Warner comment, like you said, it could have probably been said better, and not just to some people. But I think it's just like, at a time in your life when you first get saved, it's like that gift that you receive that you want to show off to everybody. And once that gift, based on you, the way you use that gift, if you wear it out to a point where you don't really like want to show people it no more, if you don't really want to show people that gift no more, then you stop talking about it. But if your gift is so like Like if you're using a car, for example, if you have a car that your car when you first got it, you showed everybody it. But then once you start driving it and you're wearing down, it's junky, it's nothing. You like, I ain't showing nobody this car. But if you keep it up like the way it's supposed to be, and you're driving it, and you like, I'm still gonna show my car off. You know, you're excited about that, and that's what I mean when I'm talking about Jesus. Is like if you know your commitment level has not fallen, but just like it's not how you were so excited about it. You know what I'm saying? If using Kurt Warner, if he's more excited about, using him as an example, if he's more excited about winning for the team he's playing for versus telling people about who Christ is, then that could be that's a problem. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even think about Tim Tebow. You know, when they talking to him, he's not even interested in he's interested in winning, but he doesn't care about the Denver Broncos like that. He's like, I want to go on my mission trip. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? Another question he was asked, Skip asked him, he said, what if Denver, even if you win and you do all this stuff, what if Denver cuts you at the end of the year? And he's like, I can't really say anything bad about him. Like, I'm grateful for the opportunity. This giving me an opportunity to talk about Jesus. So whenever that ends, that's when it ends.
Wow. And you know what else? I think it was you that told me this story, but that he was being interviewed, you know, either after a game or at some point, and they were just like, yeah, how's the football thing going, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, you know, I'm building a hospital in Africa. I'm really excited about that. Yeah. So it was just like, you see where his passion is.
And people don't like that. They want him to be passionate about football.
Right.
And they don't understand that.
You know what's funny? The fans don't have a problem with Tim Tebow.
A lot of them don't know.
So I just don't understand why the coaches won't be like,
the analysts and the former players do not like Tim Tebow.
I remember the one analyst was like the big guy. He was like
Douglas.
Yeah. He was like, man, if Tim Tebow beats the Jets,
I'm going to
if
church
he beats Mark Sanchez, I'm going to church on Sunday. And they were like, so what happened?
Yeah, and then they interviewed after the game because Tim Tebow, they were down and he got the last touchdown to win the game.
Like 17 seconds.
In the interview, they interviewed Tebow and they were like, I heard that Hugh Douglas said he was going to church if I won this game. So I hope you got your Sunday best. I hope you can sing praise and worship. And the dude actually went to church.
Wow.
So it's like, to me, the effect of his life reminds me, it reminds me of what I want to do with my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I find myself rooting for this kid now. Like, I have watched him. He does need improvement football-wise. But, man, I root for this kid. Like, I remember that game he was down, and I didn't even get to see the rest of the game. But I was like, God, please help this kid win. He needs to keep winning because there's a certain thing that when God is blessing somebody, people can't explain it. They're like, how is this kid winning? I don't get it. Something's wrong. And I hope he just continues to bother people's minds.
I say the same prayer. And you know what? I kind of feel bad because I dropped him as my fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, you don't believe in him.
Who picked him up? Somebody in that league picked him up.
Nobody has him.
No, I think
I don't believe
him.
He's on my franchise team on Madden.
I think he's
on the bench, though.
He's truly our modern day David versus Goliath, man.
I think what he's telling Christians that we have to do is we have to have more fun about Jesus. It can't be so serious.
I think what he's showing now, just thinking about what we're talking about, I think he's showing is that your number one goal as a Christian is Jesus. It's not football, it's not radio,
whatever. If it's music, if it's radio, that's just the way to talk about Jesus.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. And your ministry and your purpose is to glorify Him. And wherever he decides to say, all right, I want you to stop, you go okay with it and keep it moving. Like the fact that he said about Denver, like if they drop me, okay, well, I'm gonna just do something else.
Personally, I'll have to admit that he affected me when I listened to that interview. I was like, wow, this kid, he loves God for real.
Yeah, and he's not just kind of. It's not something he's doing for show. He is just being Tim Tebow.
He really means it, and I really hope that he does well, and I do believe there will be a day where it's going to get cut. Like his time will be done. Yeah. But I hope it leaves an impression on enough people to where it's like, wow, God is real, man.
It'd be very good if he like wins the Super Bowl, man.
That would be amazing. I would love to hear what they gonna say about this kid if he does something that amazing. I just want to hear these doubters like, how does he do it? I just don't understand. I just don't get it. I still don't think he's good, though. I still don't think he's good.
Think about this. Imagine if God used this brother to a point where it's like people get saved because of him.
Yeah.
Like just because, like not just because like him doing a football, but just like, okay, if Jesus could do that for him, I wonder what he would do in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to doubt that it's not possible because, I mean, you saw the turnaround Drew Brees had. I mean, he got cut from what team was it? Where was he with Miami? Was he at Miami when he got cut? He got cut from a team, and they were like, you know what? He's done. He's not gonna ever be anybody's starter. He went down to New Orleans, and Sean Payton said, "Give me this kid, and I'll make him a Super Bowl quarterback." I mean,
Did that.
yeah, and he did it. And so I don't doubt that the right coaching staff can't get Tim Tebow there.
You know what?
I honestly think the right coaching staff can get him
I wish
there.
Tony Dungy was still coaching, man.
Oh man, he
I
would.
think-
Yeah,
I think
that
him
would be
and
a
Tony Dungy
good
probably-
Jesus
That would be
combo
good.
right there.
That would be good. Yeah.
Because Tony impressed me the same way. Just when after his win, he was very, very honest about Jesus is the reason why he does what he does. And I just hope that for everybody, whatever you're doing, whatever job you have, like I think he laid down a good. I was just so impressed with his poise with these questions that he gets. Like he doesn't get all erratic and why can't I talk? Like he's very calm. He doesn't get upset about anything that people say about him. He has the right answers to everything.
Can you imagine what the atmosphere of the locker room must be like? Because that's a place where a lot of people cuss. The coaches cuss. They just go crazy. And it's almost like you can imagine when he walks in, the spirit in that room kind of just like divides. That is
This
very nice.
Before we end it though, I do. This is my first thought whenever somebody like this rises up. Pray for this dude, man, because
Yes.
there's going to be all kinds of things coming at him in his private life.
Yes.
There's going to be.
Some people could try to set him up.
Have you seen the
not
women
just
that
not just
been chasing
people,
him?
not just people. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the devil.
Oh yeah.
Will want him to make a mistake to discredit everything he's saying.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't believe he's legit.
Yeah.
And they would love to get a little bit of dirt on this kid and be like, he ain't even real.
Yeah.
It's not even real. And
Yeah,
that's I pray that for Lecrae, Tebow, anybody that is rising in status as a Christian. It's dangerous, man.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
so dangerous.
It is. Yeah.
So that's Tebow, man. Hopefully we get the interview one day. That'll be hot. I'm
That
gonna put it
would
out
be
there.
dope.
'Cause I would love to hear.
It'd be hot like to show this, like holler at him on Twitter.
Yeah,
what
honestly,
I'm saying.
and the reason why is because I think there are a lot of kids that listen to our show, and it's something that you can't deny about Tebow. He's very inspiring. When you hear him talk, there's just something in him that's just like, man, yo, I could do this.
And it's the humility of his spirit that makes us believe that we can get to him. Like Twitter, Facebook, something will allow us to get to him because it doesn't feel like he's about self. He's already put it out there what his number one
So this
goal
is what
was.
it's going to say. Everybody listening, y'all need to tweet Tim Tebow and tell him to come on the Trackstarz radio show and do an interview. All right.
Yeah.